Let me tell you about something that went down this week that feels like one of those courtroom movies, except it is real life, and the main character is Elon Musk. Picture this, it is March 2026. Elon is already running like 5 huge companies, but he still has to fly to San Francisco, sit in a big federal courtroom, and answer questions about some tweets he posted 4 years ago. Yeah, that actually happened. He was testifying in this shareholder trial about when he bought Twitter, the place we now call X. And the whole thing got me thinking in a way that is pretty mind-blowing by the end. Let us start at the beginning so it makes sense. Back in 2022, Elon decided he wanted to buy Twitter. After some negotiating, he agreed to pay $44 billion for the whole thing. That is a crazy amount of money. We are talking enough to buy islands or build rocket ships or whatever. But once he started looking under the hood at how the company actually worked, he had some real concerns about the user base and how things were being run. He tweeted about those concerns. Nothing sneaky, just him saying what he saw. Well, right after those posts, the stock price dropped. Some people who owned shares sold them during that dip, and later they were not happy. A group of those shareholders ended up suing him. They said he posted those things on purpose to scare everyone and make the price crash so he could buy the company cheaper. Basically, they accused him of playing games with the stock market. But here's the thing. Elon has been super clear about this from day one. He was not trying to trick anybody or tank anything on purpose. He was just stating facts about the company. It was not some evil master plan. It was Elon being Elon, spotting problems and saying them out loud instead of staying quiet like everyone else. Kind of like that one kid in class who finally raises his hand and says the teacher is wrong while the rest of the room is pretending everything is perfect. It might ruffle feathers, but sometimes it is the only honest move. Fast forward to this week in the San Francisco courtroom. Elon finally took the stand, and the lawyers were firing questions at him left and right, trying to make him look bad. And honestly, his answers were pretty funny in a blunt way. He basically told them, "Look, I just say what is on my mind." He even said something like, "People read way too much into my posts." He explained he never sat there calculating how to crash the stock price. His tweets were straight up. He meant what he said. No secret scheme, just facts. Now here's where it gets interesting and ties into something you might already know about. Remember that massive fight over Elon's huge pay package at Tesla? The one where a judge tried to cancel tens of billions of dollars that the shareholders had already voted yes on? Well, guess who that judge was? The same Delaware judge, Kathleen McCormick. The exact same one who was involved in the original Twitter case back in 2022. A lot of people think this judge has some kind of issue with Elon. During his testimony this week, Elon straight up called it out. He said the judge seemed extremely biased against him. His lawyers had warned him that fighting the case in her courtroom was probably a losing battle. So even though he believed the deal should be adjusted because of the problems he found, Elon ended up paying the full $44 billion just to make it happen. The judge's attitude basically forced his hand. He could have kept fighting, but he chose to close the deal instead. Okay, so why does any of this old courtroom stuff matter in 2026? Because this trial is not really about stock prices or old tweets at all. It is about something way bigger. Think about it. Elon did not have to buy Twitter. He could have walked away and saved himself a ton of headaches and money, but he did not. He paid the full price, even when the system tried to make things harder for him. And the reason he did it is actually pretty simple and kind of heroic when you zoom out. He paid $44 billion so the world could finally have a platform where free speech is real. Not the pretend version where companies pick and choose what you are allowed to say. A place where ideas can actually compete, without someone in a back room deciding what is okay. That is the whole point of X now. And here is the cool part that a lot of people miss. Because X refuses to censor certain topics or information, it makes it glaringly obvious when other platforms do censor stuff. You know what I mean? When one place lets everything stay up, the good, the bad, the weird, the controversial, suddenly you can see exactly where the other apps are quietly deleting posts or shadow banning people. It is like shining a flashlight in a dark room. X is that flashlight, and it is showing everyone else's shadows. Imagine if your school had one kid who always told the truth no matter what, even when it got him in trouble. Everyone else starts looking extra fake by comparison. That is kind of what is happening here. Elon could have just stayed quiet and let the old Twitter keep doing its thing. But instead, he spent $44 billion to create something different. He took the hit in court, paid the full price, and turned it into X. Now we have a spot online where you can actually see unfiltered conversations happening. Sure, it gets messy sometimes, but that is what real free speech looks like. It is not supposed to be neat and tidy. And let us be honest, watching Elon in that courtroom was low-key hilarious. He does not talk like some polished billionaire lawyer. He is just straight with everyone. At one point, he basically said the whole drama started because he pointed out problems instead of ignoring them. It is like buying a used car and then finding out the seller hid a bunch of issues. You would call it out too, right? Except in this case, the car cost $44 billion, and half the world was watching. As the trial keeps going, more little details are coming out that make the whole thing feel less like a gotcha and more like a reminder of why free speech is worth fighting for. Elon did not back down. He paid up, took over, and started building something better. And yeah, the shareholders who sued him probably thought this whole thing would make him look shady. But in a funny twist, it might be doing the opposite. It is reminding everyone how rare it is for one guy to spend that kind of money just to give the internet a place where people can actually speak their minds. So after everything that came out in court this week, here is the real takeaway. Elon Musk paid $44 billion, not because he wanted to own another social media app, but because he wanted the world to have a platform for real free speech. The same judge who tried to cancel his Tesla pay package made things extra tough back then, but he still went through with it. And because X refuses to censor certain topics or information, it becomes glaringly obvious which other platforms are doing exactly that. In the end, this trial showed that sometimes the system tries to punish people for speaking up. But if you keep going anyway and pay the price, literally, you can end up changing the game for everybody. That is pretty awesome when you stop and think about it.